Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to show you how I print photos and book covers using Canva for sizing, and then talk about my printer specs briefly and the different kinds of paper I use. To start, I wanted to show you Canva. I use my desktop computer for Canva most often, and it is connected to my printer, but I don't have a good way to screen record and talk at the same time, so I'm going to show you Canva on my iPad. And hopefully this will show you how you can use Canva on an iPad if you don't have a computer. Maybe this will work for you. I'm unsure if you can connect your iPad easily to a printer, but I bet you can. So just a quick Google search will probably let you know if you can do that. But I like using Canva because Canva is free. I do use it for my job, so I have the premium version as well, but I made an account that is free to show you how everything could be done if you just have the free account, and then I will try to point out any areas where I use the premium features. To start, I print on an 8.5 by 11 canvas or art file. So that would be flyer portrait right here. If you can see that, that will be an 8.5 by 11 file, and that is standard printer paper size. But I planned to link my different templates below for you, and those will already be 8.5 by 11 size if you want to use them. But if you wanted to start from scratch, I would click this flyer. Underneath it says portrait, flyer portrait, this little purple symbol, to start a new file from scratch if you want to. And a lot of what I'm going to tell you can also be applied to Google Docs or a different type of kind of like paper layout software. You could probably figure this out on Google Docs or something else, but I just enjoy using Canva. And like I said, I have the pro version for my job. I do graphic design for different clients, and sometimes I like to use Canva to share templates and things with my clients. So that is why I use Canva, and I will show you, and hopefully you will see how easy it is. I am not sponsored in any way by Canva. So to start, I'm going to show you how I print book covers. This is an 8.5 by 11 file type, and you can scroll up and down to see the different pages that I have in here. This is page 1. You can click up here to title it, and I've titled it example, but you don't have to title your pages if you don't want to. And here you will see examples of books that I have printed and how I fit in 3 different sizes on one page. This size is my mini size from my reading journal, and this is my most standard, largest size I use in my reading journal. These medium-ish, smaller, but not as small as my tiny ones, these I use in my pocket moleskin. Here's my pocket moleskin, and I'll show you an example of what that size looks like, and it's this size right here. Those down there are this size. And I can show you in exact dimensions if you'd like, but I'm not super specific with my dimensions. I just want them to be the same. So I did some trial and error a while back when I was figuring out how to do my book covers. And once I found a size I liked, I just duplicate it. It's not an exact size, so feel free to change any sizes, but I will share with you a template where everything is the size I use. And you can see, like I said, my different sizes. These 2 sizes I use for my reading journal. So the on my shelf spread is an example of the tiniest size. And then everywhere else you see, a spread with my book cover, these are my larger size. So you can practice just printing different sizes, and you could do a whole page of different size book covers if you wanted to try testing them out in your different size journals and see what you like. But I have found these sizes work for me, and I will show you. Let's find a book and show you about how many dot grids it is. So you can see I have a row up there. It's not perfectly lined up, but it does pretty much perfectly go to this bottom one, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right under 11 dot grid spaces. So you can use my templates, but if you don't want to, you could go to Elements, and you can see the word frame right here, but also recently used. This little landscape with a cloud is a photo frame within Canva. I scrolled down, and they're under frames, and they're different sizes, rounded corners, circular, etc. I just pull a square one. I click it and it appears over here, and I'll close my side tab, my sidebar. And then, let's see, I zoomed in a little so you can see. Do you see those lines that pop up when I move this around? They are to line up with different things. So down there, right there, do you see how it's snapping? So I'm gonna let it snap to the bottom of those book covers and show you how I would figure out what size. So like I said, these are not a specific size, but let me show you how I made them. So I sized this down, and I'll get it to snap with the top there, and then bring in the sides to snap. So when I first started, I just guesstimated. I just made a small size, printed it out, adjusted from there in real life, in real time, back and forth between real life and my computer, if that makes sense. But right here, I can just show you that when I hold, it tells me right here. Normally I would do this with a mouse on my computer so my finger would not be in the way, but you guys can see on your computer with your mouse, drag the corners and it will tell you what size it is right there. So if you do want a specific size, that's how you would tell. So let's see. Like I said, these are not specific sizes, but let's see what size it is by sizing it down to match. It's snapped in line with my book covers, and when I hold the edge, it says it is 0.9. I know my finger's covering it, sorry guys, but it's 0.9 width by the height right there, if you saw, is 1.4. 1.4 by 0.9 is this medium size for my pocket moleskin. And then let's see if I were to make a larger one, what size that is. Like I said, I'm just gonna size this to snap and fit. And let's see, my larger book covers are 1.3 inches wide by 2 inches tall. So they're always 2 inches tall. And then if I absolutely need to adjust the width for the book cover to show up properly, I will adjust it a little bit, but they're always 2 inches tall. So I always use my previous work as a template so that I can maintain everything being the same size. But if I wanted to do new book covers, I've already done all these frames. So what I would do is actually come and click one of my book covers and delete it. Click one of my book covers and click the trash can button, delete image, delete frame. I'll just delete image, and then you can see my frame is still there. So I would go to my uploads and I would drag a book cover I've uploaded over into that frame. See, even these ones that I didn't delete the image, you can replace the photo in them if you hover over. So that's how I swap out my book covers each time and how I print them. So delete this. And then I just try to fit as many on a page as I can. This is part of why I like printing them myself, is I get affordable printer paper. So say sometimes I only need to print a few books. I don't really mind the waste of the paper. I'll just print as many as I can on one piece of paper to use my paper up wisely. And then if I have a scrap of leftover, I'll save it and maybe use it later for journaling purposes as a background scrap or something. But that's why I like that my printer paper is really cheap, so that if I, like this wasted space here is not a big deal to me. I can just recycle the paper scraps when I'm done. So this is what the book covers look like when the frames are empty, and you can delete them and see your little picture frames that now function as, let's delete a couple more. So the frames function as kind of a template of sorts where you can just, like I said, drag your book covers over into them, and you can replace other book covers, or you can just put it in an empty frame. And how I uploaded these book covers in here is I just Google the book name and the author if you need to, and then I download the book cover image that looks the best from my Google search. So when you Google search and then go under images, a lot of times Amazon or Goodreads comes up, and those images are usually good quality, so I will right click and then just save them somewhere on my computer. I know some people just go straight to Goodreads to get all of their book covers, and you can do that too. You can go to Goodreads, search the book you want, and then right click on the image and download it. Once you've saved them, open up your folder on your computer where you've saved them and click them and drag them over into Canva. Usually hovering anywhere on the Canva screen will show you the upload feature. But if you're on a computer, try hovering over this area as opposed to over here if you just want them to upload. If you hover over your working area, it will populate the images onto the page. and that's fine, but sometimes it's a little messy. So if you click uploads over here and drag your images over here, they'll just be uploaded and not placed yet. So they'll just sit over here until you're ready to place them. So that's what I do, and like I said, I have my different sizes. I can leave the exact dimensions that I just showed you of each different book cover size. I'll leave it in the description for you, but I also will share with you these templates with a bunch of empty. So I'll zoom out and show you. I titled this one Large Book Cover Reading Journal, and I will link this as a template in case you don't want to do all the sizing yourself. I'll link this and you can use it however you want. You can delete any frames that you're not using, but what I would recommend is open up this template. You would just see this, and then you can drag your own book covers over and populate them. And then if there's any you are not using, you can just delete them. But what I would do first before deleting is right here, you will see, let me zoom in for you to see it. Sorry, the sun keeps going behind the clouds. But right here, this is the duplicate. Between the trash can and the lock symbol, there is this little, I don't know what you would call it, but it's the duplicate symbol. If you click it, it duplicates the page. I don't know if you could see that, but it made another one right below it. It duplicated it exactly. So I would duplicate, leave this how it is, go to your duplicated one, and then say this time you only want to print 5 book covers, you would just delete the rest of them. And if you have a computer mouse, you can drag and select more than one at a time. And you can just delete them either with your keyboard delete button or this little trash can symbol. And so that's what you would do to make it have as many book covers as you would like it to have. Then I made a whole page of mini books for reading journal size and the pocket size covers. You could maybe fit one more row on here, but if you do make another row, watch, I'll show you. So say I want to do another row, it gives you this red line around the edge and it calls it the danger zone. That just means your printer might not print there and it might cut off. So I don't stuff my pages as full as they could possibly be because I want to make sure nothing's in that danger zone. But these are the templates I will give you, and how I would customize it is, say you want to print 5, this is my duplicated page and I'll use it to show you how I would customize it for a specific day I'm printing. Say I only want to do 5 large book covers. There's my 5. Let's go ahead and populate them with images. So I just clicked it and then it pops up over here. I'll do that and show you. Okay, so I can click them or drag them. If I click my book covers, they just pop up in the middle here. And what I would do is drag it over to the frame until it clicks in there. And I'll do it again. Again, this is easier with a mouse, but I wanted to show you guys, make sure you could see everything. But yeah, drag these, and so just drag them over with your mouse or your finger into the photo frames. And then say I want to do a couple mini book covers as well, I would go to my mini size. You can click duplicate. There's a lot of ways you can do this. I know keyboard shortcuts for copy and paste, but you could just duplicate it and then drag it over here. Does that make sense? And then, so I would duplicate it again until I have however many mini covers I want to do, and drag them over. And I would align them personally. I would align them on one side so that I can do some of my larger cuts when I'm cutting them out. I like to do some with my paper cutter, which is like, you know, like a rotary blade. And so it helps if they all are lined up on the same side. So I would just move it over until I see that line clicking on the right-hand side. Eventually, if you move it around, you'll see it. Here, let's move this one. You'll see that line snap right there. And then you know they're lined up on the left-hand side. And you can use the same snapping right there. See how it tells you the spacing in between? You can use that feature to make sure they're spaced the same if you want. But as long as they all fit on your page, you should be good, because you'll cut them out and then the spacing won't matter as much as long as there's space for you to cut around them. That's how I would go about printing all my book covers each month, is find what ones I want to be mini, what ones I want to be large, you know, and that kind of thing. And then I would do the same for if I want to print any new book covers for my pocket size moleskin. I would just duplicate one of those and bring it over on this same spread. So in my templates for you, I will include one page that's all large size, one page that's all the mini size, and one that's all the pocket size. And I will also include a spread like this with multiple sizes, just so you can have that to start with, but you can customize them however you want. And I believe if I share the template with you, you will get your own copy of it, so you don't have to worry about messing it up for someone else. And again, when in doubt, there's the duplicate page. If you want to duplicate your work from 1 month and you don't want to delete it yet, just press the duplicate and you'll have a whole copied page. You can edit things and move things around. I also included on here some text that I use. This said fourth wing. I'm wondering, there we go. So you can size your text boxes. But this is just a font called Copperplate Gothic, I believe. Let's open it up and see. Copperplate Gothic 29 BC is a font within Canva that I use for my reading journal. You have seen this on my yearly spreads if you've seen my reading journal videos. I did a couple different fonts for 2025, and I'm just going to leave these on here for you guys if you want to use any of this as a template. You don't really need all of these. They're all the same font, and it's a font that comes out all caps, but when you hold shift and capitalize your letters, they're still larger, if that makes sense. So everything is all caps, but you can see the W is bigger. Same for book spot, the B's are larger. So this is a font that I use as the headings on some of my reading journal spreads where I just printed it out and cut it out. And yeah, so that's that. And I will save this as a less messy version for you guys to use as a template. And hopefully you can use it in Canva just fine. Next, I wanted to show you how I print anything that is not a book cover. So I'm going to click the little sandwich 3 lines over in the left upper corner. I'm going to click that, and then this side panel pops up. I'm going to click Canva logo. You can click home, but if you click the Canva logo, it takes you back to your home view, which is all of my different, what it calls designs, my designs or my different work projects. And the next thing I'm going to show you is this one I've titled Photos for Journaling, and this is a duplicate. Like I said, I have a pro account on my computer, but this is the free account where I duplicated something I've actually been using recently, and this is an example of a page where I printed out a lot of different photos in different sizes for my traveler's notebook. So here's my notebook. I'll show you. Here's this horizontal plus weekly insert where I use these images. So you can see the size that they turned out, and these are all printed, again, 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, standard printer paper. And sometimes I print on sticker paper, sometimes I print on regular paper. I will show you my papers towards the end. No matter what paper you use, I just print them like this and cut them out. So if it's not sticker paper, I would just glue them in. And if it is sticker paper, I still just cut it out and then peel it. You might want to save your sticker paper, like really fill this up to make the most of your sticker paper. And because I want to save my sticker paper and use it really effectively because it's more expensive, I usually just print on regular paper. But you can see a couple of things I've sized. And so what I will do is I will print for my pocket traveler's notebook, my standard traveler's notebook, and my reading journal all at the same time. And how I make sure they are the right size for the right journal is a couple different ways, but I'm just going to show you this one way. So I will use just a shape, which you can get over here. You click elements and then you see shapes right here. You can click any of these, but I'm going to click this first one. It looks like a square, but it's a rectangle. Close my sidebar, and that appeared right here. It's blue right now, and you can change the color of it. If you click this color circle, you can make it orange. Let's make it orange for now, and then close out of this. Here you will see this box, and you can drag it to be whatever size you want. So for example, my traveler notebook pages are approximately 4.25 by 8.25. So to print something for my traveler's notebook and make sure it's a good size, I would drag this box and make down here, if you can see the size, you'll see it better in person if you do it yourself. But I just drag it until that says 4.25 width. You can go slow. Again, a mouse is easier, but 4.2, good enough for now. And then the height, same thing. I'll drag it until it says 8.25. I think on your computer you can right click and type in the exact dimensions you want it. So no matter what size journal you want to print for, this method can be used. You just make your shape the size of your paper you're going to print on. And we're not going to print this out. We're just going to use it to size things. So I have this rectangle over here that represents the size of a traveler's notebook page. And now I can size things for how big or small I want them. So this blue one is an example where I wanted to print for this specific area. I'll show you. So I wanted to print out these little images for this specific page in my weekly plus memo insert. And all I did was I measured the column with a little ruler. I measured the column, the height and the width of it. And then I went into Canva and I made this blue rectangle, those exact measurements. So I would write down your measurements, come in here and make a rectangle the same size as a piece of paper, or in this case, the area I wanted to print for. Up here is the undo button. I just accidentally dragged it and changed the size a little bit. I'm going to undo that and see it snapped back. But that's how I would size things. So I'll show you again my traveler's notebook. This reddish orange rectangle represents a page in my traveler's notebook inserts. And you can see that I just eyeballed it. Like, I didn't really make it fit exactly in this margin, but you can measure that if you want and then know what you're aiming for. But I just knew I wanted it to overlap a little bit. And so I think up here you can see, here's where I sized that. And if I bring this rectangle over here, so this orange rectangle represents my traveler's notebook sized page, and you can right click it or long press it with your finger. And right here where it says layer, I click that and send it to the back. It will show you the keyboard shortcut for that too in that same location if you want to learn keyboard shortcuts to send things to the back. But you can see how these things would fit on your traveler's notebook size page. And I would just adjust it here. It wasn't the right size. Okay. So that's approximately the traveler's notebook size. And this lets me know where things would sit and fit if I were to print them out. So you can measure everything as exact as you want. I don't make things a very specific size, just want them to fit where I want them. So I knew my little margin area is about 1/3 of the size of the page, and I wanted this to not have to fit in there that small, but be able to overlap a little bit. So I just eyeballed it pretty much. I mean, you can get as specific as you want. So here you can see where I would overlay things a little bit. So, you know, I printed my daughter pretty large because I knew she could just overlap some things, and I don't worry too much. Like, my TV shows and books and game pictures I print for these spreads are always a little bit bigger than for my other journal spreads, just because I kind of have the space and they can overlap and I make a collage out of them. So that's how I size things, and I would do the same thing. I would take my rectangle, you can use the same one, and size it down to, it's like 3.25 high by 5 or something for my passport pages, and then that would let you know how big your images would be on my passport size pages. So the nice thing is, once you do it once, so, right, I've already sized all of these elements, I've already printed them out, and I've already put them in my journal. So now that I have my real life notebook to reference with all of these images in there, I can just duplicate it up here, and then I can use it as a template to size my next things. If I really liked the size that this photo turned out, I can go to my uploads. I only have book covers in this one right now, so let's just click one. Say this is an image for my traveler's notebook. I would just use those same lines. Let me zoom in so you can see. You'll see your snapping lines appear as you move it around. And so I would just drag it over and one that I want to match and size it. And this book cover on Canva, if you use the corners, it will size things and keep the ratio. See, like that. But I noticed that this book cannot become this exact photo size without losing some of the cover. So watch. These little elements between the corners, if I size it from here, it allows me to match this size exactly, but you can see it cuts off, I'll zoom in, cuts off some of the cover. That's because, you know, whatever size this image is, this book cover cannot fit exactly in there. So you can double click it and you'll get different freeform, original, aspect ratios that you can pick from. And I don't really use those, but if you double click, hopefully you can see right there, it shows you how much is overhanging. Does that make sense? and then I can move it. Do you see that? So if you do want it to be a specific size and you don't mind it getting cropped, you can use that to at least make sure the text of the author doesn't get chopped. And sorry, it's not all fitting in the frame really well. Let's close that. And then you'll see, boom, I could make this even like a square, right? You see what I mean? But a lot of times we don't want to lose elements in there, so I size things with the corners. Now that I've shown you how I size things, I'll show you some specific tips and tricks. So Canva's really great in that they have a lot of features and elements. For example, if you click elements again, they have a lot of designs already included in here that you can use and print out for free. So let's say I wanted to add a flower to a spread, and I don't have a picture of one myself, I just want to use a graphic element. I searched flower and it came up with graphics, photos, frames, videos, all sorts of things. I usually like graphics, so I'll click see all, and then I have all these different flowers I can use, and I could click this one. Some of them you can even change the colors up here. Let's close my sidebar. Again, on a computer you have more room to see everything at once, but you can see the different colors up there. I'm going to click the light pink and I'm going to make it blue, and then I'm going to exit out of the color options, and then I can tell right now that this would be big. Having flipped to my journal pages and seeing what size this photo ended up, right, this would be really big. So let's size it down. Say I want it approximately half the size of this image. That looks about good, and I can drag it around, put it against white space so I can cut it out, or I can layer over an image and do whatever I want. So that's another feature I really like in Canva. Another thing is it can automatically remove backgrounds. I know how to remove backgrounds in Photoshop, but for day-to-day journaling, I don't want to take the time to do that. So this image of my daughter journaling on the ground is an example where I use the background remover. Let me zoom out. Where I use the background remover option up here. So this says BG remover. Click it. When I clicked it, it opened the editing elements within the background remover. And you can see erase or restore depending on what I click. Let's click restore. And this is my brush size. Let's make it bigger. You can see an example right there. And then I'll brush over and show you, look, I'll restore a lot of it there. That's what the image looked like before. Just took it on my phone, brought it into Canva. And I will say, I'm not sure if this is a feature within Premium. I think background remover is Premium. That's why it has a crown next to it. But it still worked when I did it just now, and this is my free account. So I'm not sure if it'll work for everyone, but Canva is pretty affordable. I don't remember off the top of my head if I have legacy pricing, meaning like a cheaper pricing that was carried over, but I think it's $10 a month for Canva Premium. So if you find you're using it a lot and you want to do features like background remove, I would recommend Premium. I think it's worth it. But if you don't, just print out this photo how it is and cut around your images with scissors. Does that make sense? I did background remover to save myself the ink from printing all this background if I'm just going to cut it out. So I'm not going to hand do the erasing. I'll show you another example. Since that one was already done, if I click, let's try background remove on this image, background remover. Yeah, okay. It's going to tell me that it is a pro feature. So I can't show you that right now, but hopefully with this image of my daughter, let's press the undo button until the image of my daughter is back with the background removed. Oh, did you see that? Okay, so this is an example, this image of my daughter, of what background remover will do if you do want to pay for Premium and get that feature. It is nice, but like I said, you could just print it with the edges and cut it out yourself. But it saves ink and is easier to move around your page if you remove the background. Another feature I like about Canva is, say you want something like this little image with this little music player image is just its own image where I put album art over top like that. So you could go to elements and up here maybe type music or music player. Let's try music player. I don't remember what I searched to find something like this. But yeah, I have graphics, photos, frames that pull up. So let's try a frame. I don't think that's what I used before, but this could be a cool feature. So let me click. It wants access to my photos. I'm going to allow for now. Okay, and this is even, look, it has motion to it. So this is like a video frame. I don't need that for my journal. So let's go back. This bar has the same options on it for graphics, photos, and all of that we saw before. Let's click graphics. And then look, here's the same one I used. I can tell because the heart in the middle is green. So let's click that and I'll make it big for you to see. Okay, and because this is the free version of Canva, it says Canva right there and it says remove watermarks. And if I click it, I bet it prompts me to get Canva Premium or Canva Pro. But you can see how you could still find one without watermarks in the elements, I'm pretty sure, and you could just cover this Canva portion with your album art. Just download your album art, drag it over into Canva, and overlay it on the top of the frame. So yeah, that's how I use Canva. This is another image where I removed the background and then put this strawberry matcha picture in my journal, and yeah. So these little images I used for my monthly highlights in that insert in my traveler's notebook I showed you. And those are an example that I did print on sticker paper. So now let's show you my different papers. So I pretty much use two different kinds of paper. Regular printer paper, which is what you see here, and sticker paper. The regular printer paper I have is currently this. It is the Hammermill jam-free paper. I will link it below. I got it on Amazon, and this is in an off-white cream color. I got this paper to use for printing inserts for my Filofax personal planner, which is a 3-ring binder. I make my own inserts, and I kind of wanted a cream color that's a little more similar to Traveler's Notebook inserts, if you're familiar with them. I just liked that color. But I actually need to get more white paper because I think in general, colors print better on white paper. But I've had no problem using this so far. I have not bought more white paper because I ran out and I just never got around to buying more. And I've printed out my last many book covers and images like this of this is a video game and included them in my journals, and I have not had any issues. These are more examples on the cream paper. Here's something more white. I don't have white printer paper right now, but you can see kind of the difference between the off-white and the regular white. So I've had no problem with the cream paper, but I would recommend just printing on white paper if you have it. And I don't get any kind of special white paper, just literally whatever I can find at like Target or Amazon. If I need to order it online, I just get white paper. But this cream paper is what I have now, and I will link it below if you are interested in an off-white paper for whatever. It'd be nice if you want things like just a little bit more subdued for whatever reason, or if you're printing like Filofax inserts. I'll show you an example. So here's my Filofax, and here's the paper it came with. And then here are some cream inserts, if you can see that difference. So this is just an area in where the paper shows a lot, and I wanted it to be off-white. The other kind of paper I use, let me show you the box it came in, is this liked regular 8.5 by 11 shipping labels. So it's technically shipping labels. I'll link the exact one I got off Amazon in the description for you. But I have really enjoyed this so far and had no problems with it. So the back looks like this with the logo. That's the part you peel off. And then the front is just a big, I have several sheets of it right here. The front is just a big sticker. So like that. And I don't print on this paper with any different settings than if I print on regular printer paper. I use the same settings. But that's just how my printer is. Your printer might need different settings, but I will tell you everything I can about my printer, but it's nothing fancy. My printer is the Canon MG3620. So it is nothing super fancy. I just got it at Target one day when I needed a home printer, and it works just fine. It can print on photo paper and comes with the option to get these little like 4x6, I want to say, photo papers you can get for the printer where it can print on them. And it turns out just like a photo you would get from like Walgreens or something. But the quality is not that great when printing on those photos, and I don't really use it for that. So I pretty much just use it for regular printing. And when I just print things from my journal, the ink lasts me a decent time, and I think it's about $40 to $60 to restock both the color and the black ink cartridges when I run out. So it can range a little bit. I think the cheapest I've gotten the black and color inks for is $40. So, but I don't run out too often. So these are the two main papers I use. And then I use the same method whether I print book covers or pictures on regular paper or my sticker paper. I just print them and cut them out. The difference is with the sticker paper, I really try to use the space wisely and print when I have a bunch of stuff I'm going to print, and try not to waste it as much. Here's an example of scanned painting of an ink wash flower that I printed on to sticker paper. So it would be like this, and then you can peel it. It's kind of hard to start on the peel, but yeah, you can peel these. Here are a couple more. And so I painted these on off-white paper, so that's what you see showing through the black, and I scanned them in and then removed the background, and here are the flower designs I printed. So the white background is the white of the sticker paper. I will link my printer below if you want, and the specs of it if you want to take a look, but it's nothing crazy. And then the other most important thing about printing my photos to use in my journals is the file type. So in Canva, say I want to print this page we worked on. You can add a title here if you'd like, but you definitely don't need to. I would go over to this arrow in the top right and click it, and it says Share Design. I would click Download right here. You can print straight from Canva if you like, but what I do to get the best quality is I click File Type and I click PDF Print. Best for printing is what it calls it. I know a good bit about printing because I do it for my job as a designer, and I can tell you right now that Canva works differently. It doesn't let you completely customize the files that you export from it, but I have found good results using this method. So I would do PDF Print. I don't check any of these boxes. Select pages. You can see I have pages 1 to 34, but I do not want that many. So I click it and I click Current Page, which is page 2. So let's click that. Click Done. And then it will automatically say RGB Color Profile, which right here it says best for digital use. Well, I'm going to print it and it's called a PDF print, right? So click that and click CMYK. Oh, okay. So this is the first I've noticed that the CMYK option is for professional printing. So my apologies that that option is not available, but I get the best results from choosing CMYK when printing on my printer. CMYK is the color profile that printers, regular home printers, usually print in. So if you can find an option like CMYK, even if you use Google Docs for your images and print them from there, try saving in a CMYK color profile when you can. Here's how you do it on Canva. So if you have Canva Pro, you can click that. If not, I have good results with a PNG as well. And it in Canva says best for complex images, illustrations. So this is not applicable for every program, but within Canva, it has a way of preparing its PNG file that is good for printing. So if I were you and I don't want to pay for Canva Pro, I would just try doing a PDF print, select the pages you want, and choose the free RGB profile, click download, and then print that out. The other thing I would try is I would also print a PNG. Click PNG up here, click the page you want, download it, click download, and then print that off and compare the PDF with the PNG and see which colors came out better. So just print like 1 or 2 things, print something light, something lighter, and something darker, and see which one comes out better. I found that a PDF prints my colors the best, except for if my book covers have a really dark background, like maybe this one, it usually prints better as a PNG. So you will probably want to try printing a PNG and a PDF and see what prints best. And if you can, definitely do a PDF for print with CMYK option if you pay for Pro and can do that. I think that is the best. If you have the Adobe suite, you can also export things in Adobe with CMYK color profiles, but hopefully if you have Adobe, you know how to find those settings because I can't walk you through that on my iPad right now. But next, I will show you the settings I use when I actually print. And I'll tell you right now, I don't do anything crazy. I make sure I save my files how I want them in Canva, and then they usually print just fine. I just print on my Canon MG3620 using the settings that I will screenshot and put right here for you. So these are the settings I use. You can see that I really don't change anything. The main important thing is that you click actual size so that everything comes out printed the size you already made it. Your print settings might look different depending on the type of printer and computer you have, but just click around until you see something that says actual size or something of the like that lets you know it's not stretching your image. If I click fit to page, for example, it will modify my image until it fits my page size. And I don't want that. I want my images to remain the size that I size them in Canva. So I click actual size. And then the other important thing is that I just make sure the orientation of the paper is how I want it, which is just portrait. And then I make sure I'm printing in color and I don't click the black and white option. So that's all I do. And then I print them out and I'm done. Here is an example on my cream paper. The only difference between these two is that this one is a file type PDF for print with CMYK selected, and this is a PNG. So you can see that these are more vibrant. And the cover of Babel right here is pretty dark, but actually printed pretty well on this cream paper. But here you can see there's a little more detail in like the building. So both look pretty good, but I would go with this one, which is why I normally print as a PDF. I will show you what my settings look like on my printer computer when I print from a PNG and put them right here. But everything I would select is the same. I would make sure to not stretch the image by making sure the print settings don't adjust my sizes at all. And that's all I do. And you can see the vibrance I get from printing as a PDF in CMYK. I would definitely recommend that if you can do it. That's probably why my photos turn out so good, even when they're, you know, an image kind of like this one where there's a lot going on and it's kind of got a lot of color in it. It turns out pretty well. So yeah, that's how I size everything, and you'll see I do it sometimes with not very many things. These are a couple things I removed the background, but the rest of my page was blank. I didn't have much to print that day. Here are pages I printed for my traveler size notebook, sizing them the same way I showed you. Here are some photos for a larger journal I printed out photos of orchids that I took, and then some book covers. This is how I print pretty much everything, and I just find it really helpful, especially the fact that I can duplicate a page and use it to reference next time. Here are some images where I left a little white space around them just by creating this black border, and that is the same shape over in Elements. You find the shape, and up here you just adjust it to have the inner color. You can click and transparent / no color for the inside, and then make the border whatever color you want and however thick you want it. So you can change the stroke right there. But that's how I get this little black border to show me where to cut around my images that I want to look a little more like a Polaroid. That's what I do. This is a reading journal image that I removed the background from. So I do like that background remove feature. It's very useful. But yeah, hopefully this answered a lot of your guys' questions. Here's a very full page where I printed video games, movies, my book covers in my same go-to size, and everything else I just adjusted as I thought I wanted to. I knew what size my book covers come out as, so it helped me adjust everything else. Here's a drink I removed the background from and some text to make a nice header font. But yeah, I hope this has been helpful for you guys. Please comment and let me know any additional questions you have. And, you know, maybe in the future, if I show my Filofax more often, I could show you how I print inserts for that. But there are a lot of videos about printing Filofax inserts already. So I hope this little kind of tutorial about how I print things specifically for my reading journal and my daily journal were helpful for you. And yeah, definitely let me know if you have any questions, and I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!